that I really saw.
Now at 5, tragedy on a sacred day. Suicide bombings kill hundreds of people in Sunday Easter attacks. Plus, 2 officers and a suspect shot in Elk Grove. The chaotic moments and how those officers are doing tonight.
They were feeding her, handing her sandwiches.
A bear cub making fast friends with a group of snowboarders. Why experts say it's so dangerous for the bear. Plus, daring rescue swimmers saved on the American River, and the craving that got a little boy to call 911. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Roget. Your news at 5 starts right now.
Getting answers from all across Northern California. This is the CBS 13 News at 5.
Tonight, a horrific tragedy brings grief this Easter holiday as explosions leave hundreds dead and many more wounded in Sri Lanka. Right now, several arrests are underway after 8 bombs went off at 3 Christian churches and several luxury hotels. Here's what we know. 207 people are confirmed dead and about 450 are wounded. Several U.S. citizens were among those killed. Authorities say 7 people are in custody and they suspect the massacre was carried out by suicide bombers. Reporter Mola Lengi has the latest.
After the massive Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka killed more than 200 people, authorities tightened security around houses of worship in the U.S. The explosions ripped through 3 Catholic churches as worshippers celebrated morning mass. They also hit luxury hotels.
We must also look into why adequate precautions were not taken in this respect. But first and foremost, we have to ensure that terrorism does not lift its head in Sri Lanka.
Officials say the coordinated attacks were carried out by a single group that has not been identified. More than a dozen suspects were being held in connection with the suicide bombings. Sri Lanka shut down social media and imposed a curfew in the capital, Colombo, after the attacks. The country is still recovering from a long and bloody civil war.
During the 30 years of civil war, we had lots of explosions in Colombo. We are used to our airport getting blown up and the central banks, things like that. But it's been 10 years of peace, and we got used to that.
Officials say a few dozen foreigners, including several Americans, are among the dead. Around the world, leaders condemned the latest act of large-scale terror. At the end of his traditional Easter Sunday blessing, Pope Francis denounced the violence and said he prays for the victims.
Just so horrific, and so far no one has claimed responsibility for the attacks. Sri Lankan officials say religious extremists were behind them. And the pain is felt here at home as locals react to these deadly attacks. Worshippers in church prayed for the victims today as they attended Easter service at the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament in downtown Sacramento. Many heard about the attacks just as they were beginning their day.
In the world, we have a lot of challenges and difficulties. There's been a recent massacre in Sri Lanka, and there was the burning of the Notre Dame Cathedral. But all of this should not weigh us down, but rather let us place our hope in God.
Yeah, people of all faiths condemning the bombing. Local Islamic groups reaching out to the Christian community saying all faiths are being targeted by hate and we need to come together.
They want us to be in fear, and I think at this moment, you know, I'm in solidarity with our Christian and Jewish brothers and Muslim brothers and elsewhere, that we need to be unified and continue clinging on to our faith.
And condolences around the world. The Eiffel Tower turning off its lights to honor the victims. President Trump responding to the bombings on Twitter saying, in part, the United States offers heartfelt condolences to the great people of Sri Lanka. We stand ready to help. And Senator Kamala Harris said on Twitter, I am horrified by the attacks in Sri Lanka, where so many families were celebrating such a joyous day, praying for the victims and their loved ones. And we expect to learn more about this tragedy in the coming hours. When we are not on the air, you can always get updates on our website, cbs13.com.